back to Sankofa Studios Artist Talks. And today we have Valerie Anthony, all the way from Las Vegas. She is a veteran of the U.S. military. She's a founder of a nonprofit that provides mental health to people in need. She is the owner and operator and premier artist at iseeitartwork.com. I'm going to put that link down here so everybody can go ahead and click that link and follow. And she has some incredible pieces there. I'm going to name a couple of them and put her on the spot. I want y'all to go look at these pieces and buy these pieces if I don't beat you to it. The first one is Friday Night with My Girls. I love that piece. The second one is Hallelujah. And the third one is Inside Me. And I hope y'all get a look at these. I'm going to show them throughout the show and put her website address down there. So, Valerie, how you doing today? Thank you for coming.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. And thank you for the honor of being here.
So where are you from originally?
Well, my father was in the military. So I used to tell people, you name a place. If I did over 3 years there, I'd say I'm from there. So I would say Washington, D.C.
Okay.
My dad was there for 5 years, but we lived in Texas, California, Washington State, D.C., back to Texas, New Mexico. And then
Okay.
I joined the military. So then I started doing the bouncing around. So
Okay. So what branch of the military was your father in?
he was in the Air Force.
He was in the Air Force? Okay.
Yes, he was in the Air Force, right.
And how did that upbringing, that military brat, as they call it, upbringing impact you growing up?
Um, he was strict.
Hmm.
And when I say strict, he was very, very strict. And I think back then, it was a different time than it is now. About, I'd say 3/4 of the way through his career was when the integration really kicked in and people were promoted based on their ability rather than their color or who they were buddies with. And the family had to make sure they towed the line because if we were told growing up anything you do out in the public is going to reflect back on your father, so things would happen and names would be called and your first instinct is I'm punching him in the face. But then I hear my mother, no you're not. So it was real strict, but he was a great provider.
Hmm.
And for
Okay.
that, I appreciate it. We got a chance to go places that a lot of kids didn't go. So,
Yeah. So, and that's interesting because that leads into my next question. It answers the next question. What led you on that journey, and how much of an influence was your father being in the Air Force impact you joining the Air Force? It's pretty obvious, I think, that
well,
familiarity with
you
the
say
environment.
it's obvious, but there's a story behind everything, as they say.
Okay, I want to
Okay.
hear it.
I was enrolled in university in New Mexico, doing very well, going to all of my classes the very first semester. I graduated when I was 17, so I was young. So come Christmas break, you meet them Omegas and them Kappas, and they're inviting you to parties, and the Omegas were known for the parties that they gave on campus. So you learn how to party. And you party and you party and you party and you make new friends, and then class doesn't become quite as important. You know what I'm saying? And back in those days, they're like, oh, you can get the notes from anybody. Well, they used to mail the grades to my dad's house because he was paying for it. And I was told one day that he was not paying for me to go to Party Central. That what was I gonna do? And thinking I was being flippant, I've always wanted to join the Air Force. He said, okay, I'll come by your apartment in the morning, take you down to recruiter.
He wasn't playing.
Wasn't playing. And I went, he came the next morning, 7:30, drove me down to the recruiter's office. I didn't want to go, but he taught us to be very prideful. So you hold your head up and I'm gonna do this and I'll just show him. Sat in there and I took the test. I didn't care. I was enjoying being away from home and, being a teenager. Well, I was still a teenager. I was just partying and took the test. girl comes out. She goes, "Oh, congratulations! You got one of the highest scores I'd ever seen." I'm like, how is that possible? Because I was just going down, just doing that. They had the ABC.
Oh yeah.
How soon can you leave? And I'm like, well, I want to party the rest of the summer. I said, I can't go till September. He shot me a look. She goes, okay, well, let's get you all signed up. And that's how I ended up in the military,
Wow.
trying to, because he wasn't going to pay for me to go to college anymore.
Now, what's the Air Force like when you were in? Now, I was in the Army, so I think we spoke when we spoke before. I think I told you the only time I ever was in an environment where there were Air Force people was at Aberdeen Proving Grounds, Maryland, and we used to joke about the Air Force and the PT. I think we talked about that. So they did one sit up a day. That was when they got up in the morning, and they got us out there
Yep.
running through mud. So, what was the experience like in the Air Force for you?
You know what? I wouldn't trade those 22 years for anything. I grew up, I met some absolutely wonderful people. I had the opportunity to learn things and go places and do things I never, ever would have imagined being able to do. When I was in college, I was going to be a teacher. Everybody's going to be a teacher. When I got into the Air Force, they made me an administrative clerk because that's what they did with women back in 1971. Hated it, hated every minute of it. Hated every second of it. And there was a lot of prejudice. There were a lot of assumptions made about women that went into the military back then. Either we were there to get a husband or we were lesbian. Those were the only two choices. You couldn't be there to want to get an education or have a career. And, I have a very dear friend. We've been friends since the day we went in back in 1971. And we talk all the time about the things that we survived that we had been so conditioned not to address. So um, it was it was a good experience. Beautiful people. I've ridden in the F-16.
Wow.
Not many women, not many black women can say that, but I got a chance to ride in the F-16. I met generals and looked at the Great Wall of China and all kinds of things. So I had a great experience.
I mentioned I saw that you have an interest in travel.
Oh
Uh, t-
yes.
Tell me about that. About that. Your interest in travel. Your love for travel, I should say.
Oh, if you know what, I used to tell people I kept a bag packed at the door. When my husband and I started preparing to retire, one of the things that we were saving for is every 5 to 6 weeks we were going to go somewhere. It's someplace we had not been, and that was our retirement plan. And we were on schedule. So COVID hit, and it's kind of put a damper. But I had a grandmother who was a traveler, who encouraged us to go see. And she was from a little, I can't remember the name of the town, little place in Arkansas, but she traveled all over the world. I had an uncle on my dad's side of the family that was a world traveler as well. He used to show us pictures of going on cruises back when they wore the mink stoles and the long gloves. And I remember being about 9 or 10 going, one day I'm going to do that. One day I'm going to do that. And then joining the military was perfect because you never wanted to stay on the base all the time. You wanted to go explore the surrounding area and get involved in the community. And I've always been like that. So,
So
yeah, I keep a bag packed even with COVID. It's a little dusty right now, but that's okay.
I hear that.
Because I was supposed to go with a friend to Europe. And we were going to Europe for 3 weeks. We had mapped it all out and all of that. And we were supposed to leave the middle of April. And COVID said, no, y'all ain't going nowhere. So I'm, praying that this will get fixed quick and I can get back to my retirement plans.
So when you were growing up on base and going to school and just experienced as a child, I'm thinking, let's say 17 and younger. What was your relationship to art and during that period of your life, from 5 to 17? What was your relationship with art at that time?
Okay. Furthest back I can remember with ours getting in trouble for taking crayons and drawing on the wall in base housing. Okay, I think I was like 5 or 6. That's my earliest recollection. But the one that I share on my website is I was in the 4th grade. I still remember the teacher's name. Her name was Mrs. Grammer. I was the only black child in that class, to my recollection. Yeah, no, oh no, there was another one, but she was much lighter than I was, and back then the hue of your skin did make a difference. And we were doing art class. I had a piece of construction paper, white construction paper, and we were to draw mountains. So I got out my purple, I drew me some mountains, put some white peaks on them, and I remember the teacher ridiculing me and going, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm drawing mountains." She's like, "Mountains are not purple." And in my mind, I'm going, "Well, my mountains are purple." So, okay, my mountains are
Right.
purple. And that's always stuck with me. I've always been artsy craftsy. My grandkids, oh, what craft are we doing this weekend, Granny? But I've always been like that. Like working with my hands. I made jewelry for a little girl. She was trying to earn money to go to this camp. I said, well, let's get together one weekend, stay up all night, make some jewelry. You can go sell it and get money to go to camp. And she did that. So I like doing stuff like that. The drawing came, I think, I had painted early 2000s before I moved to Las Vegas. I'd done a lot of painting then, but just kind of put it away. Um, then we moved out here and kind of fell into a depression. I tell people I'm of Jamaican background. We got to have 17 jobs. But when I got here, I didn't have no job. And I had to do a lot of self reflection, what's going on with me, recognize that I was suffering from depression. Used to be a therapist, so I used to tell people about things they could do to work themselves out of their depression. And so I had to turn the spoon around and take a dose of my own medicine. And I said, you know what? I like to draw. And I had a couple of surgeries where I was confined to the bed. So I got me a sketch pad and I just started drawing and just kind of fell back in love with it. And for a long time, I kept it closet. I have boxes downstairs that I'm still discovering. It's like, ooh, what was I thinking when I drew that? But that's kind of when I kind of picked it back up. And then a friend of mine was having a jazz festival and she needed some vendors. And she goes, "Oh, I've seen some of your work." Because I used to do paint and sips with my girlfriends and before they were called paint and sips. Okay. And they just come over and we just get a canvas and we draw and laugh and just be silly. And so she goes, "You got a lot of paintings. You want to be a vendor?" And I'm like, "Oh God, no, I'm not that good." And called up the lady and got my vendor's pass. Kind of said, "Okay, I'm gonna take this pill." I'd never put it out there to be judged like that because as an artist, and you're sitting there going, "Okay, they like it? Are they not gonna like it? Are they gonna, like,
Absolutely.
One lady I had, this is a side story. I told you to talk a lot. Side story. I had gone to do a pop up, and I had one picture that was I had drawn, and you could see the lines. And the lady goes, "Ugh, you draw your stuff first?" I was crushed. So I go back and I go to my YouTube. Okay, let me let me see, because YouTube was where I learned how to just shade and things like that, and then try to develop my style from there. So
It's
art.
always, and I hear this from so many artists that there's always somebody, that teacher with you, that lady that comes in and hits you early, that leaves us as artists with these. And a lot of artists have self-esteem issues in regards to their own creation, and it's because of some teacher way back in 3rd grade or 5th grade or something that say it's no such thing as a purple mountain, or why you sketching that. Like, chill out, let me do what I'm doing, and just watch this next level come when they get here. So yeah, I definitely understand that, and I hear that so much,
Oh,
so often. In another piece, in another interview recently with Phyllis Taylor out of
okay.
Philadelphia, uh, she also started her art career. Well, her beginnings as a youth in trouble with art.
See,
so
I'm
if
telling you.
so, that may be why you two are cool.
Hey, that's my girl. That's my girl. She's a magnificent artist. Absolutely
Absolutely,
love her work. I told her that I'm saving money to buy one of her pieces. I
yes.
tried to look pitiful so I could get a discount, but you know what? Hey, love you, Phyllis.
So we learned about your early experiences, and before we get deeper into the art, you
Okay,
founded a nonprofit that helps to provide mental health services for people in need. Can you tell me a little bit about that nonprofit? That's
sure.
big work right there. Tell me something about that.
I don't think. Excuse me. I don't think it's still open in Merced, but when I retired from Castle Air Force Base, we were in a small town called Merced, California. It's in the Central Valley of California. Um, Probably about 4 or 5% African American population, large Hispanic population, many of them undocumented, many of them not having steady income. They were seasonal workers, sharecroppers. So when I was working in mental health in Stanislaus County, I was working with a lot of interns that were trying to understand how to bridge the disparity of getting people of color to go in and get services. I got certified as a domestic violence abuser program, so the people that got in trouble for domestic violence had to come to me and take a whole 52 weeks of classes. What I found was people were depressed and did not know how to articulate what was going on with them. And when you get in a position of fight or flight, you if you shut it down and you don't know how to purge yourself of that feeling, depression comes, acting out comes, etc. Thus came into mental health. So I teamed up with a dear friend of mine from Stanislaus State, who we set up so the MSW interns could come over to my nonprofit and receive free counseling that didn't cost them money. I got paid in peaches, I got paid in tomatoes, I got paid in pecans, at that time I didn't care. I just felt that people needed the help, and we did that for about I did that for about 12 years. Um, it was hard work. Don't get me wrong. And there were times when I go, "Okay, God, I got payroll this afternoon. Is that check gonna come?" But I was lucky. We had some really good years where we got contracts with the county, contracts with probation, and I still keep in touch with a lot of those people that use the things that we taught. So that was my baby. That was the baby I birthed. And then when we decided to retire and move, the board took it over, and I don't think they're still open. I haven't really kept in touch. But sometimes with nonprofits, if it's one person's passion, it'll stay open regardless. But if the same passion level is not there with the next person, sometimes it doesn't thrive. So
So tell me a little bit about iseeitartwork.com. What was the what gave birth to that website? What was that process like for you getting that website off the ground? The artwork is a given. You're a phenomenal artist. I love your works. Again, I'm gonna say them again. Friday Night was with my girls is one of my favorite pieces.
is
Uh,
she here? Let me. Oh yeah, she's right
you got it right there.
here. This one.
Wow. So I love that piece.
And
Everybody get
that
a look at that.
I like to do the pours, and it's a acrylic poured background, and then I take material and do the shapes, and then I go in and I draw the faces and bodies.
Interesting. Now there's a tell me a little bit about that website. I see it artwork.com. I'm going to put the name down here below so everybody can see it and click the link. Go visit I see it artwork.com. There'll be
I
a link in
see
the
it
description.
artwork.com.
Yep.
Yeah,
So tell me a
all
little
one
bit
word.
about the origins of that website and how it came about. What was that process like for you?
Um, it came about when I did. Now, mind you, I backed into the show. I agreed with my friend to do the show. I didn't know anything about a business card. I knew nothing. So people were coming up to me. I was like, "Oh, I really like the work. This is really, really nice. Do you have a business card?" Oh, I forgot that. I was like, "Oh God," I was so unprepared. Then one guy says, "Well, do you have a website?" And I was like, "No, I don't. I don't have a website either." And so he goes, "Oh, okay, too bad." So what probably could have been a whole bunch of collectors I lost out on because I was unprepared. So I'm an old lady with nothing but time on my hands. So I started researching and would go to every little YouTube video and listen to it. I kept saying, "Am I good enough?" And so then I started, looking and once again, self-doubt. And then I was like, you know what, bump it. I'm just gonna go for it. And the first trust me, this is website number 999. Because that first website was rough. Okay. The pictures were all over the place. I didn't know how to take the pictures. I didn't know how to display them. And it's just actually been trial and error. I joined this group called Affluent Artist, and the gentleman that runs Affluent Artist talked in his because I took his lessons about changing your mindset of how you look at your artwork. And I never looked at myself as an artist. I just looked at myself as somebody who painted.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, well, maybe shoot, maybe I am. And I did the website. I kind of advertised on my Facebook, and somebody contacted me and one of my kids. Like, what? I had sold pieces before. Don't misunderstand me, but they were always someone would come over. Oh, I want to buy that. My friends would come from out of town. Girl, I want to buy that, and we negotiate. Like that. So it wasn't anything that was, no formal selling. And then when I put the website up, one of my friends that's bought several paintings from me called. She says, "Girl, you getting ready to blow up. I need some more." I don't know exactly what blow up means, but I was like, okay. But yeah, so it's actually been an involving process, and from what I understand, I have to kind of visit my website often. And when I put the pictures up, my daughter said, "Mom, that's not all your pictures." I was like, "I'm not gonna go back in there and edit that thing again." It's hard work. So
Absolutely.
I'm supposed to be retired.
Well, your
So
website looks great, though. By the way, it looks
well,
great.
thank you, thank you,
I'm
thank
sure
you.
everybody will agree that's looking at it. It looks great.
Oh well, thank you so much. Like I said, after 9,999 tries, I should get it right. But
Yeah,
thank you so
so
much. I
so
appreciate it.
there's a thing in honor of, I should have opened with this, with Black History Month being in place right now. And
Yes.
at Sankope Studios, we celebrate Black History Month 365 days a year. But in
Amen.
honor of Carter G. Woodson and his contribution and what he was trying to do, we also celebrate in February, just to honor the brother and what he wanted to do. But one of the things that I put a lot of emphasis on is uplifting the Black contribution to modern arts with both living and dead artists. And if you listen to the last interview with the brother out of Chicago named Patrick McCoy, he's a collector and he talks about buying art from living artists. But
Yes.
but I
Yes.
like to put the emphasis on the Black American contribution, because when we have conversations about art in galleries and schools and such, the conversation starts with the same group of names: Picasso, Dali,
I know, it's like,
Rembrandt. Over, and we don't hear our greats. Now you have a
it,
relationship with a lady from Gadsden, Alabama, who lived in my neck of the woods, who grew up in Chicago. And
Chicago,
those
yes,
folks from Chicago know Wendell Phillips High School. She went to Wendell Phillips High School, and she was your mentor. And
yes,
this lady is the one and only Annie Lee.
yes.
Can you tell me about your relationship with Miss Annie Lee?
I met Annie Lee through my sister's friend, and he tricked me. I had told him, what a great collector I was. I had no idea that he knew her. I had no idea that she was living in Las Vegas. And he asked me to drive him to the store. I fussed about having to go to the store. Like, you just got here. Why don't you go to the store? You know how we do. I had on a house dress and flip flops, okay? I wasn't dressed to go meet nobody. So I give him right. He goes, oh, go up in this neighborhood right here. Well, being the forever fusser I am, I had to fuss about that. He goes, well, get out the car. I want you to meet my friend. I was like, I ain't dressed to get out the car. We went up to the door and he rang the doorbell, and this little short lady answered the door. And you know how you look at somebody and it's like, I know that face, and your brain computer goes, where's it? And I'm like, oh my God. Oh, she goes, girl, you want to come in this house? She goes, come on in the house. And she called him Poncho. And so she took us in the house, and I mean, it's like, if you can imagine anybody that you've never thought you'd ever meet, but you have their stuff in your house, and you're just like, and so after I got a grip of myself and stopped, acting like a little, because she was so welcoming and so accommodating, and she made you feel like she had known you forever. Welcomed me into her home. We sat there and talked. She goes, well, baby, this ain't the last time you're coming back. And she had a backyard that was just a zen backyard. We'd sit out there on a couple of different occasions. I sat in her bedroom, and she always told me, I remember when I going over there, I was like so goofy, that I, how you babble. And I said, oh, I'm too old to start a career. And she goes, baby, you are never too old to do something that you love. So stop saying that. I was like, okay. She goes, and I'm older than you anyway. And so, and she was late in life because she had put her paintbrushes down, and then she came back to it. And she said it was the best thing that she ever did. She goes, so long as you can paint, she goes, you paint.
Yeah, because she stopped
I
and raised the whole family, right? Is that the stories?
Yes, exactly. She
Okay.
stopped and raised the whole family, and then she went back to her painting. I asked her one time. I said, "Why don't you ever put faces on there?" Now I was showing my art ignorance because she had been doing that for years. I'm acting like, I don't understand. And she said, because when you look at a piece of art, you project in there what face you see. You may look at that lady sitting on the side of the bed and put your face on there. But you may look at Gone Shopping and put your auntie's face on there. She goes, so the faces, you let the people put the faces on. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Now, I'm a hard-headed artist. I'm not very good at faces, but I'm gonna keep on doing them until I get them right. So you'll see a lot of my paintings, their eyes will be closed because I don't feel like I perfected it to the point of where I want. But then I also want people to use their imagination. And she always says, what you do is you find your niche. She goes, you find your niche. And I tell people that my niche is what I do with the material and how I manipulate the material. So, yeah, Miss Annie she was awesome. She's just awesome. She's just an awesome lady.
Now the piece that she mentioned just now with the woman sitting on the edge of the bed is
Blue
called Blue
Monday.
Monday. It's a
Yes,
very popular piece by Annie Lee, and I
yes.
think anybody in the art community, especially if you're from Chicago,
You
Blue
know.
Monday. You've seen it in doctors' offices, and people got prints of it. It's everywhere. So
Yes, they do.
Blue Monday, the woman sitting on the edge of the bed, with the head
Yeah,
slumped, is so expressive. Even without a face, is very expressive, and it's a great piece. Take a look at. I'll probably put a picture of it right here so you can see it.
yeah.
And she had many more great works like that. So, tell me a little bit about your process. When you do you have an idea in your head before you start, or do you just start painting and then it just evolves and becomes one of these great works that you have?
Oh, you're such a sweetheart. I just tell I just tell people that I have one painting that I've been working on for a couple of years, and I've posted it at different times, and each time I post it, it's look completely different. Um, when I talk about, you know what, I'm working on this one. This would be perfect to show. Okay, I go through tons and tons and tons of tape because I lay it out, I'll put the tape on it, then I have to sit back, I have to look at it, I have to make sure the lines are where I want them, and then I'll take it all off, I'll put it on again. So it nothing is quick. But this one right here, this is on revision number 4. Yeah, this is revision number 4. And it's going to be an African woman with a headdress, and then she's got a coat with a lot of colors. That's what it's gonna be. So this is you're seeing it raw. So
Nice.
keep your fingers crossed to how it's gonna turn out. But yeah, I do that, and then when I did my grandmother, I had a photograph of my grandmother. I think I showed you that wearing my pearls. Eh, that one.
That picture is on your website as well. I saw that picture. That's beautiful. So, do you have any artifacts? And I know Miss
Yeah,
Annie Lee was known for her dolls. Can you show me one of her dolls? And I like to point out something about her doll work, and you can elaborate on it. I think she was ahead of the curve in making dolls that had the figures of real women. And can you elaborate a little bit on that? These dolls and some of the features that these dolls have, in particular the faces, like you mentioned.
well, first of all, I sat on her bed when she was designing whether to make them like flexible dolls, and this was like shortly before she passed. And I think the idea of the dolls is now with the people that bought out the Annie Lee name. But she was saying, "Well, I got to make them look like real people. These dolls have hips, and none of them have faces." And once again, you can make that your auntie's face. I have 4 of them that I was able to find, and they're dressed to go out. I mean they got butts, they got high heels, they got jewelry. And she keeps it real. And this right here is my favorite one. Okay, and she's got the ruffles, the gold high heels, and the hair. She's definitely got the hair. But
Uh,
they got again the signature no faces because that's that's who she was. So you can put anybody's face there that you want.
Those are incredible. Now, those who don't know, go ahead and Google. I'll put her name here on the screen, and maybe a link in the bio to her Wikipedia page. You can find Annie Lee. For those interested in art history, she is a part of art history. I think a very
Yes, she
important part of
is.
art history, and we have to honor her and celebrate her, not just in Black History Month, but all the time. And if you are in an art program and you're watching this and you hear us talking about the great Annie Lee and you hear them repeating the litany of names over and over again, please tell your professor about the great Annie Lee, born in Alabama, grew up in Chicago, and mentored Miss Valerie Anthony here. So we have a connection to history here with
Thank
that.
you.
So as we get ready to close, I want to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm going to say a name or a word, and you tell me why they're important to you, if they're important at all. So I might name a
Okay.
person
Okay.
or a place, and you tell me what it means to you. All right?
Okay.
You know what? Before I do that,
Okay. It's like,
before I do that, I have another question because
uh-huh.
you said something earlier, and I wanted to touch on it about art having a therapeutic
Ab-
quality for you.
yes.
I wanted to ask you before,
Hmm.
but what explain a little bit about the therapeutic process or how art is therapeutic for you as an individual and how that same thing can help other people.
Okay, I was working at when 9/11 hit. Some of y'all might not remember that, but when 9/11 hit, I was working at a mental health outpatient clinic. And we had people that had, issues with what they had just seen and what they had just experienced. And so we went and bought some butcher paper and we put it up in a room on a long table. And we allowed people to go in there and just draw what they were feeling and color and be angry or be happy or sad, whatever. And some of the most amazing artwork I'd ever seen in my life came out of there. So I asked my clinical director to go and pay for a class so I could learn more about the healing power of art and how it releases those endorphins and makes you feel good because you're creating something. With my journey with depression, I suffer from uh, really seasonal depression, and it's directly related to my lupus. Now, when I talk about seasonal depression, I tell people it took me a while to learn why is it every November I shut down and I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to engage with anybody. And then as soon as the birds come out in April, I'm fine. Well, I used to do this thing with my clients where you do a lifeline to find out what traumas you had experienced and when were they. And it started to make sense as to why, oh, in November this happened, in December this happened. And I had trauma in six of months out of the year, from when it got cold up until April. I had been able to manage it before because I stayed really super busy. When I went in there with 9/11 and I started to draw, I was like, you know what, this makes sense. And that's what I was saying before. I'd say that to my clients, like, why am I not doing that with myself? When we got here, I no longer was working 17 jobs. And it's like I always tease everybody, my Jamaican background makes me like if I ain't moving like this at least 18 or 24 hours out of the day, something is wrong. Are you sick? You better get up, girl. You got more stuff to do. So I knew that something wasn't right. And I started doing my lifeline. I identified it and I said, this is what I need to do. That's the reason a lot of them got painted and stayed in the garage, and it was when I really started to do the work to heal myself, understand my signs and triggers, that I was able to say, okay, I'm ready to share this with the world. I got a feeling we got a lot of great artists out there that have just been told you can't or you're not good enough, or you know what, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Miss Annie Lee used to always say, she goes, well, if they don't like it, they ain't gotta buy it. They go to the next one. It's like, yes, ma'am. So, so to me, it's not about so much the buying. Now, don't get me wrong now. Okay, I got 17 grandchildren, so don't misunderstand. I love a collector, okay. But it's not about the buying, it's about being able to share a little bit about me, a little bit about who I am. And I put on my website, I try to put a little bit of me in each and every painting, whether it's down to how I sign my name, a little, purple, because you're going to find probably purple in everything I do.
I was just
Okay. So
about to say purple. You like that purple?
yeah, and it may just be a little bit of drop. It may just be on the glasses, but that's my thing. So
Well, a little message for that teacher that said about the purple mountains. I know a genius by the name of Prince that would say that there are purple mountains.
oh, I'm my favorite man. That's my favorite man.
Which takes me back to the rapid fire questions. The number
Okay,
one name
okay.
on
Oh,
the
I thought I got out of it.
so the number one name on the list was Prince.
That's that. Yeah.
Tell me,
Or
tell me why Prince is important. What does Prince mean to you as an artist, as a musician, as everything that he was? What does Prince mean to you?
I got a chance to see Prince when he was 17 years old. Okay, when he was little bitty, skinny, little long haired fella. I have always been in love with him because he's different. He's different. He was unique. He didn't give a damn what. Oh, can I say that? He didn't care what. Okay, he didn't care what anybody else said. And I'm kind of that way within limits. And every time I hear one of his songs, I'm like, that's my man. Because he just embodied to me, you know what, I'm gonna do what I want. When he took back his name and said, I'm gonna be a symbol, that took a strong constitution and a belief in self that can't be matched. So I love Prince.
Yeah, I do too. I think
And
he's, I think he's the perfect embodiment of everything that Sam Cooke, James Brown, and what's the other brother name? Lonely Teardrops. You know who I'm talking about.
yeah, it's oh, don't do that. You know I'm old. Oh,
It'll
okay.
come to me, but
It'll
he
come to me. I know tonight at 12 o'clock. I'll email you.
okay.
But you're right. He is. He's all of that. It was just like he channeled all of that energy. And I was born in 1952, so y'all know what kind of music I grew up with.
Yeah,
And when he came along, it was like he's different.
yeah,
He gets it. You can understand it, and I can relate to it. So yeah,
yeah,
Prince was at the top of my list.
yeah.
Purple.
He's Jimi Hendrix. He's everybody. He's his own.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Oh definitely Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, one
So
of
my
my
number
favorites.
two is Las Vegas.
Broke City. Um, you know what? I moved to Las Vegas to help my sister out because my sister, 5-year breast cancer survivor. At the time, she had just found out she had breast cancer, and so I kind of moved here to support her because we were looking to move and retire. Um, this is not the Las Vegas that I moved to. The COVID has changed everything. It's a hard town to get to know because there are a lot of transit people. Um, but it's a lot of fun when everything is open and be able to go watch shows and you go to the grocery store and you run into Floyd Mayweather or yeah you go down the street and you're like, is that Steve Wynn? Just yeah. So you do a lot of kind of sightseeing here. So, but it's a good town. It's just sad now because a lot of people are out of work, and this COVID has such a rippling effect. Here, this is a town that depends on tourists. So if you don't have tourists come in, the cabs aren't working, the housekeepers aren't working, the buffet people aren't working, the security people aren't working, and it just has trickled down, and it's really kind of sad. I display at a local restaurant here. I gotta give a girl a shout out. Carol Southern Kitchen, 1100 Martin Luther King Drive. Food is on point. She lets me display in her restaurant, so she does a lot of Saturday and Sunday feeding the people that are homeless. So I've seen Vegas come together and really start to take care of their own. So there's a little community out there that takes care of their own.
Okay. And the last one
Okay.
is it's a question.
Okay.
Where where do you buy your art supplies? What's your favorite art store?
You know what? Michael's. Uh, I don't. I don't go to. I don't know if I can say the name of the store because I don't have the same beliefs that they do, and I can't see supporting that if they can't
Gotcha.
support everybody.
Hmm.
Um, so I kind of do my research. I'm an old Angela Davis head advocate. I'm a advocate. I'm going to protest anything I can in my own little way. So I won't support that. But I go to Michael's. I sometimes I'll see stuff online with, you know what? Michael's is the only place I go. Well, that's not true because on my African fabrics, I go to SB and I support lots of the African shops on SB and the black owned shops on SB. And the reason
Etsy.
I
Etsy. That's right.
am I saying it right? S
Etsy.
S
Well,
S
you got me saying it. Etsy.
Exit. Okay, see, I get talk fast, can't remember. But I support a lot of the shops on there because I'm all about supporting my folks. Okay, we can talk it, but if we don't actually do it, then shame on us. So every time I go to get more material, I usually spend about $30-$40 on material, and I can make lots and lots and lots of stuff out of them. I will go on ST. Am I saying it right? ST. And I
Etsy.
and I'll go to a different vendor that I haven't gone to just to kind of spread the wealth. So that's where I get my African material from.
Okay, so let me get
Shout
it.
out to those small businesses.
Let, shout out to the small business, and I want to get in Michael's face. Michael's, if you're listening, I see it artwork.com and sankofastudios.com. You better reach out to us. Talk to us now. Quit playing.
Oh yeah, because they have some great canvas sales. Okay, if you can catch them, you can get some good canvas sales.
I got some good local stores here
Uh,
where I live that I frequent, but everybody touches Michael's at one point or another.
oh yeah, oh
Last
yeah.
question.
Oh, and
Uh,
they did a good job for Black History Month too. So shout out to Michaels.
okay. So the last question that I have is, what advice would you give to any person that's interested in becoming an artist? We hear so many people, and I hear so many people say, uh, or first of all, ignore the younger artists. They don't pay enough attention to young people who are in the arts, I think. And then people who are older think it's too late to get into the arts. What would you have to say to both of those groups as a final word?
You ain't never too late. It's never too late to do anything. If I tell people if I can learn it, anybody can learn it. The program that I signed up for to learn about the business side of it, when I first enrolled in the program, and I was like, I ain't doing all this work. I ain't doing all this work. But when I sat back and I looked at it, I needed to do all that work. You can be a beautiful painter, but no one's going to see your work if it's sitting in the garage. And you got to learn how to put it out there, and especially now that the pandemic is going on. So you learn the business side of it too. And keep painting. Don't stop. I like I said, I got I got probably like over 500 pieces of stuff that I have done that I'm like, oh yeah, well maybe one day I'll get back to. Oh maybe you never can tell. And believing in myself was my biggest challenge. Okay, the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So you believe in yourself, you keep on painting, learn the business side of it, and get it out there and do what you got to do. Because I'm telling you, there's an artist in everybody. It's an artist in everybody.
I heard that, and that's our final word. I heard that. That was a good way to close. I want everybody to go out and click the link below. I'm gonna post it here. I see it artwork.com. Visit Valerie Anthony. Support her website. She even has a section on her website for people. If you can't afford those big pieces, she got some pieces on there that are equally great, that are affordable. There's a section that's affordable art for people that maybe want to get into collecting, and that connects back to my prior interview with Patrick McCoy out of Chicago. That collecting is something that we can all engage in, and it's an opportunity here with a lot of living artists. We don't want to think back to get a Jacob Lawrence. You're gonna have to get $300,000 or $400,000 to get one of those
I
old.
wish.
Yeah. But listen, if she has a painting for $800 on her site, go ahead and add another 100,000 to it just to support the movement.
Appreciate it. I got all them grandbabies.
So 17 grandkids. So that's beautiful. And like I said, check out her site here below. And then right now during Black History Month, if you come to sankofastudios.com and subscribe at the site, you get 10% off your first purchase. That'll be going on for the whole month. People that subscribe throughout the year will get that. And I'm also having some special sales with as much as 25% off for the month of Black History. So with that said, again, thank you, sister.
Thank you, my
Valerie
brother.
Anthony.
Thank you.
Everybody, please follow the links below. I'll put her social media there. You can find Sankofa Studios at, of course, sankofastudios.com. You can find me at Sankofa_studios on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Yes, I said TikTok. I don't do the dances and everything, but I'm on TikTok. And pretty much every social media that's out there, you can find Sankofa Studios. So, again, thank you. And until next time, peace.
Bye.